Laura Ingraham stands out as one of the leading Fox News hosts, leading the nightly show, The Ingraham Angle. She is known as a prominent conservative American television host, political commentator, and author. But aside from her unique career, she has an interesting personal life, never getting married and only having adopted children. Let's meet Laura Ingraham's kids and note that she still has no husband. Maria, from Guatemala. Let's start with Laura Ingraham's eldest child, Maria Caroline Ingraham, who has become an inspiring figure in her own right. The story between them began in a small Guatemalan orphanage and has since grown into a tale of love, resilience, and purpose. Born on May 11, 2005, in Guatemala, Maria's early years were marked by loss after she was orphaned as an infant. At just 3 years old, her life changed forever when Laura Ingraham, who was already a household name in conservative media, arrived to bring her home. Ingraham has described that life-changing trip to Guatemala as one of the most profound moments of her life. She remembered the first time she saw Maria, a tiny 3-year-old, standing at the doorway of the orphanage, clutching a small plastic bag that contained all her belongings. When talking about the adoption, she called it the most amazing few days I've ever spent in my life, and the best thing I've ever done. For her, the moment was not just an adoption, but the start of a journey that would transform both their lives. As Maria settled into her new home in the United States, she and her mother started a shared adventure of learning and connection. Laura has spoken warmly about how, as Maria learned English, she herself started learning Spanish, showing how they both embraced each other's worlds. Their bond grew because of the way they discovered each other. Over the years, Maria has grown into a bright and compassionate young woman. Now 20 years old, she is pursuing a degree in nursing, a career that speaks volumes about her empathy and dedication to helping others. Laura has shared glimpses of her daughter's milestones, celebrating her high school graduation and cheering her on as she completed her freshman year of college. In a touching moment on the Ingraham Angle, Maria attended the show, and Laura announced that her daughter would be heading to Texas A&M University, a transition that marked another step in her daughter's journey toward independence. Aside from academics, Maria has demonstrated a commitment to giving back. She has volunteered her time with cheerleading and gymnastics programs for young people, mentoring and encouraging others with the same compassion that defined her own story. While Laura Ingraham is known for her strong opinions and commanding presence on television, her role as a mother reveals a softer, deeply personal side. She often refers to her children as her greatest blessing, and her relationship with Maria stands as a testament to her belief that family extends beyond biology. Through faith, love, and perseverance, Laura and Maria have built a life rooted in gratitude and growth. Michael from Russia. Then, a few years later, Laura adopted her second child from Russia. Michael Dmitry Ingraham holds a special place in Laura Ingraham's heart as her second adopted child and the first of her 2 sons. Born on June 1, 2008, in Russia, Michael's story is one of perseverance and love that transcends borders and political tension. When Laura first began the process of adopting him, he was just 13 months old, a small child unaware of the immense journey ahead. But for Ingraham, who had already adopted her daughter Maria from Guatemala, she wanted to expand her family once again. But the path to bring Michael home wasn't as easy as it seemed. The late 2000s saw a growing diplomatic strain between the United States and Russia, which made international adoptions even more complicated. Ingraham faced bureaucratic challenges, long waiting periods, and layers of political red tape. Still, she didn't waver in her commitment and plan. Speaking in an interview, she remembered how frustrated she was seeing children caught in the middle of international disputes. She said, "Adoption first and foremost needs to be about the children. What's best for them? Children should never be used as bargaining chips by one nation against another. They're not commodities." When the adoption was finally approved, Ingraham described it as one of the most emotional moments of her life. Traveling to Russia to meet her son for the first time, she saw in him the same spark of purpose and hope that had drawn her to motherhood years earlier. Just by holding him in her arms, she already felt a connection between them. Over the years, Michael has grown into a bright and curious young man, now 17 years old. Those who know the Ingraham family describe Michael as energetic, kind-hearted, and driven. All these traits mirror his mother's determination and his own independent spirit. He has also developed a keen interest in sports, especially soccer and basketball, and routinely participates in school and community activities that reflect his outgoing nature. Laura often speaks of her son with admiration and joy, keeping much of his life private so that he stays away from the media spotlight. She has said that Michael's presence has brought laughter and balance to their household, describing him as the heartbeat of our home. Nikolai from Russia. Then she went back to Russia and came back with her third child, Nikolai. Nikolai Peter Ingraham is the third child, coming from the snowy streets of Moscow to the family home of Laura Ingraham in the United States. His journey is one of quiet courage, unexpected beginnings, and growing into his place in a loving, multicultural family. Born in 2010 in Russia, Nikolai was adopted by Laura Ingraham in 2011, when he was just about a year old, a decision that would bring a new chapter into her life. When Laura first brought Nikolai home, it was the third adoption in 3 years. First his sister from Guatemala, then his brother, also from Russia. With Nikolai, the family's multicultural tapestry became even richer. He was the youngest sibling, Russian-born, and adjusting to American life, sounds, routines, and rhythms of a home carefully built by his single mother. At around age 15 in 2025, Nikolai stands at a transitional moment, old enough to reflect, yet still exploring. His mother keeps him away from the public eye and has only revealed that he enjoys swimming. By keeping him out of the spotlight, she has provided Nikolai with a foundation to grow quietly and develop his own interests. Single motherhood. Although Laura Ingraham has 3 children, she never got married and remains a single mother. She has had different relationships and was even engaged once, but she seems to have no interest in getting married, unlike many other conservatives. Relationships and engagement. Laura Ingraham's personal life has long held headlines, but her private life always remains private. Even so, she has dated some people publicly, though none of those relationships ended in marriage. One of her relationships that stood out was her 2005 engagement. In the early 1980s, Ingraham attended the Dartmouth Review while studying at Dartmouth College, where she crossed paths with fellow conservative commentator Dinesh D'Souza. Their shared political and journalistic interests drew them together, and there were rumors they were going to get engaged, though neither ever confirmed it. Their friendship endured beyond romance. When D'Souza faced legal troubles in 2014, Ingraham penned a letter in his defense, calling him one of the finest human beings I have ever met. Fast forward to April 2004. Ingraham announced that she was to be married to businessman James V. Reyes. The pair had reportedly met through a blind date, and the engagement seemed to mark a new chapter in her life. Yet, just as wedding plans were forming, Ingraham was diagnosed with breast cancer and underwent surgery and treatment. The diagnosis disrupted not only her health, but also the engagement. She later publicly said the wedding would no longer take place, and there was no news of them reuniting afterward. Ingraham has frequently spoken about how the experience of being diagnosed and treated for cancer changed her perspective on life, priorities, and what she wanted for her future. In this way, the 2005 engagement serves as a pivotal moment, not simply a romantic milestone, but a crossroads that influenced the direction of her personal and family life. Over the years, Ingraham has also been linked with other public figures, including former U.S. Senator Robert Torricelli and commentator Keith Olbermann. Though neither of those relationships was confirmed in detail, what remains clear is that by the time she embraced parenthood through the adoption of her 3 children, Maria from Guatemala in 2008, and Michael and Nikolai from Russia in subsequent years, Ingraham had shifted the focus of her life in significant ways. Ingraham has said that she believes in the importance of family and the value of traditional structures, and she has also acknowledged that her own path didn't follow the married then kids model. Instead, she said that family can come in many forms. As she continues to raise her 3 children, she reflects on her breast cancer journey and how she recovered, going over that hurdle alone. Breast cancer journey. Way before she adopted her children, Laura Ingraham's life took a sudden and profound turn in April 2005. She went for a routine physical exam, and a lump was discovered in her breast. At the age of 40, what started as a moment of unease became a life-defining challenge. She was diagnosed with an aggressive form of invasive ductal carcinoma. Within a week of learning the diagnosis, she went through the first of 2 surgeries. Early testing after the first operation showed that the cancer had not spread to her lymph nodes, a critical detail in her favor. Following surgery, the next chapter was chemotherapy. She went through 6 weeks of treatment, followed by a course of radiation, which she completed by the end of October 2005. Throughout the process, Ingraham described leaning heavily on her faith, her family, and the unwavering support of friends and listeners. She once noted that she felt the power of prayer and the awe-inspiring flood of encouragement from people around the country, but she chose not to wear the victim label. Ingraham prefers the term warrior instead of survivor, expressing that the experience didn't just happen to her, it changed how she wanted to live her life. It was that mindset that kept her going as she fought cancer. In interviews, she spoke about how the battle brought clarity, sharpening her sense of purpose and causing her to reflect on her priorities. She once said, "It was an awful time, but a glorious time at the same time." She has even said, "Life after cancer can be better than life before cancer." After her treatment, she realized what she truly wanted and decided to adopt her children, becoming a mother. At the same time, she became a public advocate for breast cancer screening. The ordeal is what encouraged her to raise children, become more independent, and build her own home. She has remained relatively private about many of the medical details, emphasizing instead the lessons she drew from the journey. As she put it, she wanted to be remembered, not for having had breast cancer, but as the mom or the friend who happened to have had it. Once she was treated, she decided to become a mother, and eventually stood out as an advocate for adoption. Advocate for apolitical adoption. Laura Ingraham has made her mark as a prominent voice in conservative media. Yet one of her most impactful efforts is how she advocates for adoption. As a single mother to 3 internationally adopted children, she uses her platform to spread the idea that adoption should be driven by love and homemaking, not politics. When she was trying to adopt from Russia, she realized how difficult it was to adopt children and the impact it had on them. She said, "Adoption first and foremost needs to be about the children. Children should never be used as bargaining chips by one nation against another. They're not commodities." With those words, she speaks about what she sees as a fundamental injustice when international adoption becomes entangled in geopolitical games or bureaucratic standoffs. Having adopted children from Guatemala and Russia, she speaks from personal experience about all the challenges. During her advocacy work, Ingraham helped launch initiatives such as the Adopt a New Attitude project, which sought to raise awareness about the human toll of the Russian government's ban on adoptions by American families. She also said that the children left behind, through no fault of their own, mustn't be collateral damage in diplomatic retaliation. She has lamented how even a single instance of abuse by an adoptive parent can trigger blanket restrictions, thereby condemning untold thousands of children to remain without families. In fact, it's interesting that Ingraham navigates the intersection of her public persona and her personal commitment. On air, she is usually unapologetically political, yet when it comes to adoption, she deliberately draws a bold line between her usual commentary and this cause. She says that adoption should surpass partisan divides, and that healing homes, not orphanages, are what children need, not to be pawns in international posturing. She once said, "Preventing the adoption of a child of any age into a loving, safe home is selfish and cruel." She spoke about the challenges single women face when adopting internationally, as agencies and governments usually favor two-parent households. For the children she adopted, Ingraham says she wants to build a home rooted in love, faith, and permanence. She uses this same perspective to raise her children and is known for speaking about her parenting philosophy. Parenting philosophy. If you meet Laura Ingraham's kids, even though she has no husband, you'll be interested in her parenting philosophy. It combines all her conservative values, faith, and the practical realities of raising 3 internationally adopted children. She focuses on raising her children with responsibility and independence. From her public remarks, it's clear that she believes children flourish when they understand what is expected of them and when they are encouraged to stand on their own, while remaining anchored by moral grounding. Basically, she always says that children should be guided to think critically and act ethically instead of simply being told what to believe and how to behave. Ingraham explained that although her career puts her in a high-profile, fast-paced world, her parenting role demands more constancy and real connection. She speaks of setting clear structure, discipline, and responsibility. Her children are taught the value of work, the importance of integrity, and the relevance of faith. Her Catholic beliefs are also part of her parenting philosophy. She has referenced the role that faith plays in her home and how it provides a foundation for the values she passes on and helps forge a sense of purpose in her children. Yet she balances structure with autonomy. Ingraham wants her children not simply to follow instructions, but to question their world, to stand by their convictions, and to grow into individuals of character rather than conformists. She has mentioned that raising children as a single parent was the hardest thing I'll ever do, acknowledging the extra layers of challenge and responsibility in that dynamic. But that acknowledgement also reveals her belief. Independence doesn't come from avoiding responsibility. Her parenting strategy also includes moments of gratitude and reflection. She doesn't share much of her private life, but she once said that she encourages her children every night to share positive things that happen during their day. She also doesn't shy away from the different cultures of her children. Instead, she helps them embrace and share them within their family. Faith and motherhood. Aside from her parenting skills, Laura also has a strong love for faith and motherhood, and talks a lot about her Christian beliefs. Laura Ingraham's journey as a mother is deeply intertwined with her Roman Catholic faith. This is the guiding force that shaped her decision to adopt, and the way she raises her children. She converted to Catholicism after exploring her spiritual path in young adulthood. Ingraham often credits her faith as the foundation of her life as a single mother of 3. For her, motherhood is a calling. She has spoken about her longing to become a mother long before her adoptions, and how her cancer diagnosis in 2005 drove her into action. Embracing the responsibility of raising children as a single parent, she has affirmed that her faith provided strength during the toughest seasons. In one Mother's Day reflection, she said, "That's the most important thing for me, my Catholic faith. So without that, I think everything would be very, very difficult for me." In her home, she guides her children's character, morality, and purpose with faith. She also emphasizes values like gratitude, hard work, humility, and service, all of which she learned growing up in a faith-based household. In doing so, she aims not just to raise children who are successful, but to raise human beings who live with intention. In her words, her goal is to be the best mom I can be. I want to see my kids independent and strong and happy, and prepared as best as they can be for life in all its fullness. With her career in the spotlight, Ingraham keeps her parenting grounded in everyday faith practice, encouraging gratitude, reflection, and a view rooted in responsibility instead of entitlement. Career as a conservative icon. Despite her personal life, which has been full of ups and downs, Laura Ingraham is still a conservative icon and a top anchor on Fox News. Laura Ingraham has carved a career path that combines sharp conservative commentary with media-savvy influence. It's an impressive trajectory that has positioned her as a leader in right-of-center American broadcasting. From her early days as a speechwriter in the Reagan administration and a law clerk for a U.S. Supreme Court justice, she shifted into media with an edge. When she went into talk radio, it marked the first major chapter of her public voice. She launched The Laura Ingraham Show in 2001, building a platform where her opinions found a national audience. The show covered cultural, political, and social themes, resonating with listeners who loved her conservative commentary. In 2007, she joined the Fox News Channel as a contributor, and by October 2017, she assumed her own primetime television slot with the Ingraham Angle. The show is known for its blend of critique, conservative viewpoints, and incisive interviews. Aside from her media presence, she has also been able to reflect and shape the broader conservative momentum in the U.S. She tackles themes like immigration, federal regulation, cultural change, and free speech controversies. Conclusion. Now you've met Laura Ingraham's kids, as she still has no husband. She raises her 3 children with faith, responsibility, and love, and has a unique view on life. Do you think Ingraham will get married or simply adopt more children? Let us know your thoughts in the comments.